asked if I could use his phone. He nodded and stepped aside.
Where's your phone?
He introduced himself as Mr. Harrow. Said he didn't get many visitors, especially not in weather like this. The inside of the cottage was the outside. All dark wood and old furniture that creaked when you walked. The air smelled damp and floral, like old perfume that had been sitting out for too long. Mr. Harrow offered me a towel and some coffee. I thanked him and asked about the phone. He said the landline was down because of the storm, but I could stay the night if I wanted to.
Nope.
Apparently, he had a spare room upstairs. I didn't love the idea of spending the night in a stranger's house, but it was safer than sleeping in a dead car during a lightning storm. So I accepted. Mr. Harrow went upstairs rather slowly, following them around the whole way. At the top, he opened the door to a small basement. Inside was a single bed, no more than dresser, and a window with thin curtains that fluttered even though the panes were closed. He stopped and turned to me. He said the room used to belong to his daughter. She got sick and spent the last 2 days in the same room. I didn't know what to say to that, so I just nodded. Then he added something that made my skin crawl. He told me to not move anything in the room, and that even a minor intrusion upset her. I asked what he meant, but he just smiled weakly and left, closing the door.
And that's when you should have left.
The room had that smell of damp wood and old perfume from downstairs, but stronger. I sat on the edge of the bed, still in my clothes, trying to process what he just said. The whole situation felt off, but I was exhausted and didn't have any options. That's when I noticed the portrait. It hung on the wall directly across from the bed. The woman was young, maybe 16 or 17, with full skin and dark eyes that seemed to stare at me. The phone was gone, probably in tears. The painting itself was old, the kind that lasts long. I tried to ignore it as I lay down and closed my eyes. And every time I opened them, she was right there. After an hour's argument, I couldn't take it anymore. There was a red stuff draped over the window. I grabbed it, walked over to the closet, and covered her face completely. Finally, I could breathe. I climbed back into bed, and this time, exhaustion won. I fell asleep almost immediately. I don't know how long I slept. It could have been an hour, or it could have been 3. But something like a shift in the air woke me up. I opened my eyes. The room was dark, except for brief flashes of light that lit everything up in quick, harsh bursts. And in one of those flashes, I saw she was tall, still, draped in shadow, and around her she was wearing the red scarf. My heart stopped. I couldn't move. I just stared at the ceiling, waiting for another flash of light to clear up the scene of things. It came, and she was still there.
Oh, she on demon time.
Slightly to the side.
Bro.
I screamed. The door flew open. Mr. Harry stumbled in. The door clicked. He looked around the room frantic and asked what had happened. I pointed to the corner. There was nothing there. He told me I must have been dreaming. Said people hallucinate when they're tired or stressed. But I knew what I saw. I didn't argue. Just grabbed my jacket and pulled it on his sleeve. Tried to convince me to stay, trying to slow myself back. But I didn't care. I'd rather take my chances than freeze in the car. I ran down the stairs and looked at the door and take me back. Spent the rest of the night in my car, doors locked, eyes wide open. Every time I started to drift off, I joke away, convinced I'd seen him outside the window. When the sun finally came out, I got the car towed to the nearest town and caught a bus the rest of the way home. I never told anyone what happened. What did I even say? That I saw a ghost in the corner of the room and a dark light used to cover her.
call me insane.
But I know what I saw. And I know I'll never drive that highway again.
I'll never drive that highway again. Dang, man. I could have told you it was better to just stay in your car. That ghost was looking chopped. Not today, Satan. Okay, guys, don't go anywhere. Let's just watch one more. My mom was on her routine night shift at the hospital, and I knew I wouldn't see her the next morning. Probably in a deep sleep or her bed. Likely still in her uniform. I always made her breakfast before I would leave for school in the morning, so she could wake up to a nice meal. I use the word nice loosely. It's the best I could do, considering I'm 16 and failed my home economics class last year. But my mom never minded the toast, scrambled eggs, and turkey bacon platter left on her nightstand. We had said our goodbyes around 10:15, and I got myself comfortable on the couch with my dog to watch the TV. I turned the lights off. However, she set the scene and make it feel more immersive. I had gotten through one Dateline episode when I decided that I could enjoy the experience a little more, and I grabbed my bong. So I went upstairs and down the long narrow hallway that led to my wing of the house. I was the only occupied room on this side of the house. The other rooms were my dad's old office and the guest room. Though that room hasn't had a guest in for years. Just since my dad's passing, my mom and I haven't wanted to host other people here. Instead, it hosts the overload of clutter I find at the end of every school year. Clothes that I no longer want cannot sound out loud. Paintings I worked outside that never put up, and other miscellaneous items that aren't used but can't seem to be let go of either. I opened my bedroom door and got the piece off my nightstand. It was almost a sculpture, rather than the cheesy bong you might imagine thinking of a stoner. It was about 16 inches tall and made completely out of this blue hand-blown glass that resembled the color the ocean looks after a series of rough waves. The glass swirled in an upward motion towards the mouthpiece that made it look like it was water frozen in time. My favorite feature of this prized possession is its ability to glow in the dark. After letting it sit in the sun for a bit, flecks in the glass would glow a bright green at night. I walked back down the hallway with it, then back down the stairs until I was sitting down on the couch next to my dog, Pepe. He was sound asleep as I started to grind up the green sticky plant matter. Don't smoke next to the dog. Plant matter. It was this new strain I had just bought from my regular plug from the next town over. He had told me he just recently got a limited supply of this stuff and asked me if I could be one of his test subjects to see if he should buy more. Without hesitation, I agreed. Discounted weed just to give my feedback. I'd be a fool not to take that offer, so I did. Holding it in my hand, I saw a multitude of colors that reflected off its crystals. It's common to see colors like purple and orange, but this stuff had shades of red, blue, and pink. Odd, I thought. But I was taken over and paralyzed. I was physically unable to move any part of my body other than my eyes, tips of fingers, and toes. I was only able to produce slight twitches, but it took so much effort for me to do so. Sleep paralysis. There I was, almost completely paralyzed, unable to move or scream for help while the TV continued the program like I was still an attentive, consenting viewer. Beep, beep, beep. Beep, beep, beep. Beep, beep, beep. Pepe was still sleeping soundly beside me, blissfully unaware of the living hell I was experiencing, just inches away from a sleeping overhead. I tried reaching for him. Maybe he would wake up and sense my distress, and then what? Well, what the heck could happen next that would possibly help me in this situation? The answer was nothing. I felt as though Keith Morrison was now mocking me, and the couch cushion below that, once felt made for me, was now stiff and cold, as if every fiber in the fabric was rejecting contact with my body. I reasonably started to panic, not because the realization of my situation was settling in, but because I heard a creak from upstairs. Oh, I knew this house like the back of my hand. It's the only house I have ever lived in, so I knew that each floorboard had its own distinct creak. This one I recognized as the top of the stairs. Somebody was in my home, and they were standing at the top of the staircase that led directly to the room I was in. Each crack that followed the last made my eyes water. The fear I felt distorted each sound to resemble what I might imagine a rib being snapped in half a minute. Hearing the footsteps slowly descend the stairs made my stomach turn, and my body want to writhe in pain from the inside out. Staring at the one visible stair from my position on the couch made me want to retreat backwards and find security in the couch. I did not want to see the intruder, a person who would be able to have their way with me in such a vulnerable state. But I could not rip my eyes from the stairs. I knew danger was coming, but I just couldn't look away. If somebody was going to do whatever evil they intended, I was going to see it, approaching, whether or not I truly wanted to. Seconds felt like minutes. My heart raced so fast that each beat felt moments apart. I was dripping in sweat, even though my body couldn't move. The sound from its skin was fading away, and was replaced with a long, piercing ringing in its place. The creeps that belonged to the stairs near me acted as the unidentified subject's weight pressed down on it. Through the dim lighting, I saw what seemed to be a shadow thing on the side of the wall that obstructed my view of the stairs and the place around them. What broke the moment of silence was the strange muffled scream coming from the back of my throat. It was the only amount of sound I could muster up to my throat to say. I was a deer in headlights, a perfect victim for any predator. It was hard to say whether I was still paralyzed or whether it was just sheer terror I felt in that moment that was responsible for my immobilization. The hand methodically lifted its fingers and slowly tapped each one of them back down, making a sickening drumming sound. One, then twice, then 3 times, the lone hand strums, before the rest of the body became slightly illuminated when it moved to the last and final stair.
Sleep paralysis
When
demon.
its entire form was revealed, my wide eyes trailed up to about 8 feet in the air. It was gigantic. Its arms were as long as its height, and its features had a mouth that shrank from side to side. Or expression that could only be described as a smile, due to the fact that it had no teeth. Just a huge mouth stretched with gaze with its bleeding gums that dripped down from wood floors. To me, it was an indication that this was not a figment of imagination, but a real dangerous threat, and I needed to step into action immediately. The thing let me soak in its disgusting appearance fully, so that its next performance was all the more terrifying. Gross. It produced a series of guttural, horrid sounds that it described as its laugh. It witnessed me using every ounce of energy I had in my body to just cry out or moan, finding amusement in my distress. All I could do was cry silently. My eyes streamed with tears while I stared unblinking at the creature that slowly approached like a lion toward its wounded prey. It was just feet away now. Its long arms dangled behind its back drawn forward as I began to scan my surroundings. I was in a hospital room, still covered in that sticky, metallic-smelling substance. Though it was not a deep black like I previously witnessed, but crimson red. The familiar voice of a man brought me to the present and out of the fog. Miss, the officer started in a low and careful tone. Do you remember anything from last night? No. The question made my face turn to an almost offended expression after a second of recollection. Of course I do. I don't think I will ever be able to scratch that disgusting smile out of my memory. The immense fear I felt can still be there if I just close my eyes. Yes, it was the first time I heard my own voice in hours. It was this thing. The officer gave an unassuming look to his colleague as he let out a deep breath and laid a stack of images on my lap. My mother lay violently curled on her living room floor. If it weren't for her nursing uniform, I wouldn't have been able to tell that it was even human due to the anatomy she was in. Before I was able to even process what the officers were insinuating, I screamed. Dang. I screamed so loud that I felt my dry vocal cords rubbing against each other and let out a flood of tears that assisted the sobs of confusion, sadness, and anger. Caught off my harsh cries, I recognized the hauntingly familiar sound. I looked up to see the officer drumming his fingers on his notepad and watched as his mouth started to stretch into a disgusting and unforgettable toothless smile.
No, girl, are you still dreaming? Jeez, how high were you? This is why we do not do drugs, okay? That was some weed right there that you had, girl. I mean, dang, so don't do it. Out here seeing demons and ghouls and demons. Did I say demons? It's ridiculous, man. Next time, just watch some Dang Matt Smith YouTube videos, and then you can go see. But hey, could have been worse. Second grade. Or are you in 6th grade? And let go. Woo-hoo. Guys, I'm always nervous, but you guys are with me, right? Okay, alright, gotta watch all the way to the end. Here we go.
Everyone's far from this. I've been checking my area's Craigslist, and lo and behold, I saw a really weird post in my area in the missing connection section. The post said, "Your mother is in Hawaii." On my Facebook, I found a profile pic of me in Hawaii with a Hawaii hat. The post said, "Your birthday is on the blank," which of course was my birthday. Ooh. Then the post said, "This is your big sister." I'm very, very, very confused. Am I crazy? Is this just a coincidence? Is the big sister the accomplice? Did they hack my Wi-Fi? I mentioned down in the comments that I changed my Wi-Fi password because there was Somebody the other day knocked and asked if my mother was like. I cringed, so I looked at a little girl and told me. So one day, I see this weird guy staring at me and sort of following me around. Someone just walked into my house. My heart stopped. I had no idea what was going on. I creep out of my room and see all three of my kids are fast asleep. I walk over to one of their rooms and look out the window to the street. My heart does that dropping thing again. A car was parked directly in front of my house that I don't recognize. It was an old, unmarked car that was parked at a very unusual diagonal angle, and it was running. I started stomping on my ceiling, and I start waving my hands to the car to threaten it. It races off and leaves whoever is in my house. Then, all of a sudden, I see this man emerge from under the window with his face completely covered. He was walking away with a quickness. But get this, he had the same build as the guy from the gym. It's just unmistakable. He's huge, and I've never seen a dude this big. At first, I thought it was an unrelated robbery, but statistically, they don't come back to the scene if caught. And he didn't take anything downstairs. And my laptop is right downstairs. My husband has seen that car apparently once after that 3 weeks later, and it sped off when we walked outside. My brother-in-law came to visit a couple of weeks ago and had to park around the corner. He told me he saw a guy walking by the house and looking very suspicious. When I asked for his description, he said some guy with a big build. I'm creeped out. I don't know what's going to happen.
Wait, that's it, girl. No, girl, you're cooked. At that point, you might as well move to Afghanistan.
Get out of there, girl.
Leave the kids. No, don't take the kids with you, okay? Everybody, please stick with me. Don't leave me alone. And let's go ahead and watch another one. Lego.
So last Friday night, I, 17 now, was home alone with my family, besides my sister, 21, who was at work. Stayed in their cabin a few kilometers away. I'm used to staying home alone, guys. This exact scenario is very common in the summertime, especially while I'm working and can't travel from the cabin to back. I'm not usually jumpy or afraid while home alone anymore.
I
I'm
am.
used to the odd creaks and the settling noises of our old house. I was especially comforted by the fact that my sister's dog was also in the house with me that night, and